It's kind of hard to do that um, when you're sitting down. It was very, that salute was very specific. As many times as I've seen that movie, yes, I did rent it. No, I bought it. So, and I bought this special edition where the writers of that movie got together and had a discussion about that movie. And this vlog, it's the Pollinator. Good morning. It's the weekend, and I hope some of y'all are out there relaxing and winding down from your work week. But this, oh, and you'll have to, people who saw me wear this shirt a couple days ago, this sweatshirt, you'll have to excuse me for wearing it again. It's so colorful. I had to put it on for this vlog. But so this one is not, even though the thumbnail I'm gonna upload is the Black Panther movie. What I'm gonna be talking about this morning is the duality between T'Challa. You'll have to excuse me, my eyes are watering a lot today. Between T'Challa and Killmonger. Because there is a war going on inside of me about what those characters portrayed in that movie. And, I'm at a cross between what T'Challa stood for as the king of Wakanda and what Killmonger stood for as the quote-unquote villain in the movie that was filled with, as the characters said, hatred and anger and wanting to do to white people what they have been doing to us for the last 400 years. That is why that movie scares them, because it fired up a lot of us in that way, and not in a way that we were ready to act on anything out of that movie, because that movie was fiction. We have no leaders like that. We have no special circumstances that would get us out of underneath this oppressive state. But what I want to note about that is the duality of the feelings I have. I have a love-hate relationship with this world right now. Yes, every black person in the United States, if not around the world, feels the heavy sting of oppression and hates it. There's no other way to love that. There is no way to love that, and you would only know it if you are black. You don't know it from the outside looking in. So, and people talk about, dealing with the anger and the rage we have that has been inbred in our culture, dealing with it calmly and not letting it control your emotions. Well, when you're white, it's very easy to say that. You don't have anything pressuring you 24 hours a day, having to swallow huge chunks of bullshit in this country every single day. See, I don't know, because it doesn't happen as much as it does to us. When one of these idiot serial killers, or whatever you want to call them, goes on a rampage and starts killing up a bunch of white people, they experience personally, perhaps, well, they have a heck of a lot more empathy and sympathy and being able to relate to that as something that would be very scary for them. But see, we have stuff happen every day. We've had stuff happen every day in multiple places in this country for 400 years. That's the freaking difference. Is that you don't see this stuff attacking you personally or something that could be a possibility that can happen to you every single day. How many of you are concerned every time you walk out your door that something crazy might happen to you because you're white? Don't lie. Don't even try it to say that you can relate to that feeling. How many of you constantly look in your rearview mirror when you're driving around, worrying if the police are behind you? How many of you worry that you are going to be something terrible is going to happen to you just for living? If you are honest with yourselves, none of you who are not black can say that. You would be worried about that every day. So see, we live with an extra amount of, what word do I want to use for that? We live with the possibility of that happening every day. Because something bullshit like that is happening every day. So yes, I feel the love of God. I feel the love of humanity. At the same time, and I love myself. For the first time in all of my life, and I mean all of me, not just certain aspects of me, not certain aspects of my character or my personality, but all of me, including being a black man, including being a black transgender man. All of it I am in love with. What I'm not in love with is this fucking country and what it's doing to people who look like me. Not so much browns, definitely not so much Asians, even though there was a time in history when this country went after them during World War II. No, it wasn't World War II. Well, maybe it was. Okay, so when they turned around and locked a bunch of them up. But see, they still haven't experienced 400 years of oppression, white supremacy, all of those things that are going on right now that is painfully obvious, voter suppression, all of that stuff. Having our rights stripped away, having this country lose its motherfucking mind because it looks like we're gaining some sense of direction and control and trying to exercise our right to vote. They are taking politicians that are getting elected into offices and trying to strip them of their power before they get in office this January in several states around the United States. And let me tell you, if it is accepted in one state, they tend to want to blow it across all of the United States. It piggybacks off of each other. If one state, if people in one state think it's okay there, then they try it somewhere else. How many of you worry about that? How many of you are concerned about that? How many of you are really wanting equity in this country for us? Not for yourself. How many of you are being silent because you know that deep down inside, you do not want equality in this country? I'm also stuck between thinking that segregation, the end of segregation, was a mistake or was right or wrong. All things being equal, which they're not, had white people done right by us many, many, many hundreds of years ago, we would have access to land. We would have access to this economy. We would have access to the marketplace just like they do. We would have access to the government just like they do. There is this huge power struggle going on right now because they're afraid of losing that power, that privilege, that control, the money, everything that, you know, if you notice, the monopolies are gaining more and more power, and they're jumping in bed with each other to make themselves even more powerful so that nobody can catch them. So that when things start to shift with the demographics of the kinds of people in the United States, they'll be so fucking far ahead that it will take decades and decades to catch up with what they're doing right now. That is why they're doing it. So, of course, I look at this and go, oh, see, we do need some Killmonger attitudes out there. And there's actually a whole bunch of people that are getting that kind of attitude because we're tired of this. That kind of karma would serve them fucking right for what they're doing in this country, which has nothing. The Republicans are doing shit that has nothing whatsoever to do with the American people. It's all about them. It's all about their wealth. It's all about their livelihood. It's all about saving their ass. It isn't about democracy anymore. It isn't about making sure that people's voices are heard. It isn't about anything like that. It's all about making sure their asses are stay where they are, as powerful as they are. And so they get to a bunch of ignorant people who don't know and realize what's really going on, and they stir up their fears about this changing of demographics in the United States. I did make a bunch of notes for this vlog, so I'm gonna kind of sort of speak from them. I had to kind of blow this stuff up so I can see it. So, you know what? You know, I served in the military. For a country that is spitting in my face right now, I feel betrayed that I served and watched over this country. My job in the military was, we monitored satellites. Russian spy satellites. Make sure they weren't doing whatever in the 1970s and to the 1980s. But I searched for this, and you know, after they killed that man, that veteran in the mall, it never ceases to amaze me the amount of silence. Who is screaming about it and who is not screaming about it? Who is not screaming about it are millions and millions of Americans who could give one fuck that that black man is dead. Any of us are dead. Your silence says it all. See? That's it. In a nutshell. Is that you're not, if you're disgusted, you're certainly not saying so openly. You know, you're afraid of what your comrades are going to fucking think of you if you open your frickin' mouth and express your disgust about what the direction this country is headed. You know, Trump, Cheetolini 45, whatever the fuck you want to call that asshole, you know, he's getting ready to get taken down. And then we're going to have to deal with other assholes if he stacked the deck in this administration to make sure there's plenty scum and corruption to last the rest of his term. Till 2020. Then they go pull some shit like they pulled during the midterms to try to stay in office in 2020. Yes, they're going to do it. That's why there's a whole lot of work to do between now and then to ensure they don't get away with that. In 2020, they don't pull voter fraud, voter suppression, and all the shit they pulled during midterms this year in 2020. Yes, they're going to try. They don't care to lie. They don't care to cheat. They don't care to do whatever by any means necessary. Hold on to power and control in this country. They don't care. And how many of you out there care that they're doing this? Or are you just going, well, you know what, it's not affecting my life directly, so, you know, whatever. That's what I'm saying. That you don't. You know, and right now I feel more like Killmonger than I do a King T'Challa. Because we don't got no King T'Challa reality on this planet. We've got some very, very rich people in Africa who, because of religion, and because that country, that continent was colonized like the rest of the world has been, there ain't no T'Challas there either. And there isn't anything, there isn't any, well, there are precious minerals there, but nothing on the scale of what titanium, is that what they called it in that movie? So, you know, between fiction and reality, or the reality of it is we ain't got shit. We're consumers. Mostly that's what we've been turned into in this country, and the only thing we've got is the power to protest. And even that, they're trying to strip that away. They'll throw your ass in jail for it. Or boycott, which is a much, much, much better way to control the narrative, to control what's going on in this country, is to not spend your dollars on businesses and companies and whatever that keep blowing it where we're concerned. But there's not enough youth who know that back in the day, that is how we control things, is through boycotting, which means don't spend your money at that company. Do whatever you can not to. During the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, we got a lot accomplished that way. I've boycotted many companies, and I'm boycotting Walgreens right now for killing that gay black man in the Walgreens in Hollywood, California, and then lying about it, saying that he was shoplifting when the videos shows he wasn't. This lying thing. They're taking their cues off of guess who? Who is getting away with lying every day, every time he opens his mouth and tweets anything? 45. They're taking their cues off of him. And listen, this lying thing, what, do they need to create a law that, you know, it's criminal behavior to lie? Because, man, people are doing that like it's nothing. And then these corporate apologies and speeches or whatever, you know, canned crap they put in publications about being about diversity, they're lying too. There's not a monopoly in the United States right now that gives a shit about diversity, because if they did, there would be more of us working for them. Can't be a fucking who are, you know who they're lying to and who believes that crap? Are white people. Maybe Asians, maybe Hispanics. I don't know. But we know that's not the fucking truth. It's like, well, that's just a canned answer. That's PR. That's damage control. You know, when the guys at Starbucks got arrested and people saw that shit and said, don't buy these stuff. What was the first thing that they did before they quote unquote sensitivity training? That wasn't shit. What was the first thing they did? Give a discount day to all black people. Damage control. They don't give a fuck about diversity either, because there's some more nonsense going on around Starbucks right now. I ran across the article briefly yesterday, and then I didn't get a chance to read it. But who are they trying to fool? I know who that. They're trying to fool a bunch of numb, sleep, black people who don't know they have power and control with their dollars, with where they spend their money. That's who they're appealing to. And they're banking on the fact that people will just say, oh, okay, I forgive them, and go right back to that store and spend their money there. That's who they're appealing to, is people who are not sleeping. That's what they mean by woke. Stay woke. They don't mean the Black Lives Matter movement, be woke thing that also is being used out of context to scare the hell out of white people and thinking it's a militant thing to be woke. Or think it's even radical to be woke. I invite you to go out and look at the spiritual, metaphysical meaning of being conscious. That's what they're talking about. They're not talking about anything militant. They're not talking about anything radical. If it's radical to be conscious, then there's a whole lot of people who are choosing to be immature, to be asleep, not only of their own behavior, but the behavior of people around them, the behavior of politicians in government, the behavior of corporate freaking CEOs, the behavior of a lot of people. They're choosing to be asleep about these people and what they're doing. There's nothing, absolutely nothing radical about being conscious about yourself and about what's going on around you. You know, yeah, anything that threatens the imbalance of power in this country is seen as a threat. That is why there hasn't been another set of leaders who has come along since the 1960s, because they got everybody scared that if you do, they'll kill you. And you're right, they will. The FBI, the government, everybody will be in on that to totally squash any kind of leader that threatens to come along and upset that imbalance in this world, but especially in this country. What we do, others follow. So, you know, I'm just, it's just blowing me away right now that people do not care. Well, they'd rather believe the lies, even though there's evidence to the contrary, and nobody can truly unearth what really happened to our leaders. It's like the mob. You pay somebody to pay somebody to pay somebody to assassinate someone. That's how it works. And then, of course, you cannot find the source. You'd have to be a detective. And there are no detectives that can go out and investigate the frickin' FBI or CIA. They're in control of that narrative. They can make up any lie they want to, and they can cover up anything. Seen it all my life, folks. You know, okay, so I talked about that, I talked about that, I talked about that. So, you know, let me talk about what would be deemed as poor white people in this country. Right now, they're of the belief that standing on the side of this corruption is going to save them. That if anything crazy broke out in this country, like a civil war or race war or anything of that nature, you know, they would quickly jump on the side of the people with all the power and the guns and the training and the control. I don't care what anybody says. You would not. In 2018, 2019, People will not decide to do what's right. They'll decide to do what's best for their survival. That's what they'll do. So, all this bullshit is benefiting them a little bit, because even if they're dirt poor and they're barely scraping by, they're still going to stand on the side of their peoples, because their peoples got all the fucking control and power, right? Until we get some, they're not coming over on our side to fight for us, to fight for our humanity, to fight to stop all of the corruption and the murders and the imprisonment and everything that they're doing to squash black people in this country. They ain't jumping on that side. So I'll just leave it to your logic to understand why. Because there's no doubt in my mind which side they'll stand on if some crap breaks out in this country. Shit, including people married to black men and women. Yeah, I said it, including them. I don't want to get into the dynamics of that, but it is why I would choose what I choose not to date interracially. I have done that, and you know what? Those ladies, as much as I love them, they did not understand my struggle, my pain, my rage, anything that I was thinking around the area of racism in this country, because they were not targets of that. So, if anything comes down the pike, I'm gonna be with my sisters. I'm not gonna be with people who would jump ship because they know where all the power is. Or elect to be silent so that they can sit there and watch it happen and not pick the side of their spouse. I'm talking about a big ordeal. I'm not talking about little scuffs that are going on in every state of the United States. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something that happens nationally. Where would people really stand? So, I must have, this stuff is just in my head because I'm talking about it even without looking at it first. So yeah, just as in that movie, people definitely feared Killmonger's point of view, and the movie was slanted in a way to make him wrong for how he felt, to say that that kind of hatred was inappropriate. Well, inappropriate or not, it's inside of us. Love, hate is inside of us because of the way we've been treated in this country. And if you saw the special edition, the director's edition of that movie, and all of the conversation that was going on with the writers of that movie, that one of the guys said it, that if you're black, you live with this, the hatred going on, because there's no way to love this shit. I said that in the beginning. Sorry, just repeated myself. So, so one of the possibilities of what they're really trying to do here is to wipe us out, to exterminate us. But if they got poor white trash, poor white people, middle-class white people to fight on the side of the rich, you know what would happen if they actually did get rid of us? They'd say, thank you very much, and then turn them into us. That's what would happen to y'all. But you don't realize the dynamics of the politics behind the rich and powerful. That they will. Because there's too many millions of people who think that somebody has to be in control, on top of somebody else. They don't know how to live with peace, with people, to let everybody thrive, to let everybody get wherever anybody wants to go in life. There's too many millions of people that think that's impossible. so deep in their recesses of their mind, the hierarchy, the patriarchy, the hierarchy they think is necessary, including men being in control of everything, women being not. The pecking order has to be eliminated. And the ones trying to get on top right now, they speak pecking order too. That ain't gonna fly. It's not going to fly because they're also trying to eliminate, they want a bunch of soldiers fighting with them while a whole crap load of them are saying, yeah, but we don't want them to be gay, we don't want them to be lesbian, we don't want them bisexual, we don't want them to be transgender, we don't want them to be queer, we only want cisgender heterosexual black people as soldiers in our fight. That much is so freaking clear, and they gotta get a clue too, that they are behaving just like the idiots that are in control. So how they look, sounding like them, then claiming to be free. It's gonna take all of us, really? All of us in what order? That's why I'm like, I watch a lot of people, but I'm not in bed with a lot of people because a lot of them have this this pecking order thing going on, and this competition thing going on, and this top dog thing going on, and all this stuff going on that makes somebody less than, not as good as, not equal in their eyes because of some fucked up religious belief or other things. Whatever. Okay, I'm just going to continue to observe them, keep my eye on them. So okay, I already talked about monopolies, where they're headed. I'm trying to put distance between the haves and the have-nots. I wrote an article called that on Medium, called The Haves or the Have-Nots. And I talked about it in terms of my own personal history in growing up as a have around a bunch of have-nots. But the same applies. The same things in reverse apply to this entire country or this entire world. And I put a highlight on the word inclusion because I'm unsettled about it. It's a very unsettled feeling that every kind of person wants to be included in everything, and that I see that as kind of dangerous right now. To me, I can equivalence inclusion with infiltration. There's a lot of people who want to jump in bed with other things going on just to disrupt them. And, maybe that has to do with my trust level, but my trust tank ain't very big when it comes to human beings. To be honest. That's how our leaders got taken down, was that they infiltrated the civil rights movement. Every bit of it. They infiltrated. Pretend to be down for the struggle, down for the movement, down for the fight. But they were really in there to tell the other side what was going on so that they could take them down. That is why I don't allow white people in my business. I can live with y'all being around, but I'm not going to let you in to do that sort of thing because you're not to be trusted. Hell, I don't even trust a lot of my own people not to do that. Black infiltrators infiltrated the Muslim religion to take down Malcolm X, who probably got paid, somebody got paid to get paid to take him out. Could have started with white folks for all we know. We'll never know the truth about that. They can only speculate, and they'll just look at the front runners, the people who killed people, but they don't look at where that shit came from. They ain't gonna investigate that deep. Might reveal too many people, right? So yeah, humanity is in trouble. Right now, people are extremely self-centered, and they're extremely in their heads, and extremely about every man, woman, and child and other for themselves first. So no such thing as collaboration and cohesion and unity, and all this stuff they talk about is just lip service. It's not real. They'll say that just so that you jump in bed with them and then proceed to exclude you while you're fighting for them. This is going on in every aspect of society. Every single special interest group, every single kind of group, this is going on. Come on over here. Fight for us. We're going to fight for you? No. But come on over here. Just a lot of seducing people into fighting for their struggle while they're not fighting for yours. Boy, I see that like the Matrix. I see through every single person who has stepped to be like that. I've seen through it. And I'm talking about almost every organization in this area I live in. I've been to. I've checked them out. And they tried to seduce me like that. And what happened was I was like, okay, and I listened. Okay. I was talking to people face to face. I said, okay. And then when I left and came home, every single one of them, I sent an email asking, okay, well, if I fight with you, if I join you, are you going to do something for my community? That's all I've gotten from every single one of them, except for one, because I haven't told them where I'm coming from yet. But, I'm watching them very carefully to see if they stand up for people who are outside of their norm in the pecking order before I disclose where I'm coming from with them people. And they're black. So I guess I'm the infiltrator, huh? But see, I'm not infiltrating to take anybody down. I'm not in that realm of infiltrator to disrupt. I'm buzzing all around these groups to see if they are sincere about being inclusive. And if they're not, see you later, bye. Atlanta Black Star, the BLM of Greater Atlanta, Human Rights Commission, the NCTE, you name it. I have been watching every single organization that I have visited and had anything to do with to see if there was a power struggle going on or if they were really trying to get somewhere through equality. There is no such thing right now. Or has there ever been, really? I don't know if that's a pipe dream, if that's, maybe it is a pipe dream. I think it would be better to say we should strive in that direction more than we're striving in the direction of, oh no, I just want control and I want a bunch of people on my agenda. But to consider an agenda that is going to have everybody's back who's involved with them. That is the missing ingredient right there. That is why I created this business. The business that I created was so that instead of an individual way, in a business way, I can collaborate with these businesses and really see if their money is where their mouths are, or if their mouths are where their money are, or if their mouths are where their heart is, if their mouths are what they speak. As a business, I will be able to see extremely easily whether they're sincere about wanting progress in this country, or whether they just want their individual little piece of it to have some progress. As a black transgender man, they gotta have both pieces. Or guess what? I just stand back and observe until I'm able to reach out that way and shut that door permanently if they're not down for our struggle too. I'm not just about transgender. In fact, I'm not even about that. I'm a black man who happens to be transgender, just like so many black men out there happen to be cisgender. We're black. That's what people see first. They don't even know where we're coming from. Although I've heard recently, because of some nonsense that happened up in New York City, that I don't know the circumstances around, that, you know, a trans man got beaten up by a bunch of guys, that, you know, I had to question, how did they know he was a trans man? And somebody else said, well, maybe they were looking at the size of his hands, his feet, his voice, or whatever. They were just looking for clues that wasn't a cisgender man, and beat him up because they discovered he wasn't. Maybe these people knew him from somewhere. But anyway, that's kind of off the issue. The thing is, I am still stuck with what Mara Kinsling of the NCTE said when she came to Atlanta and spoke in front of a room full of people. It was packed. That if transgender people, black, brown, yellow, red, white, did not start caring about black lives, then why should anybody care about transgender lives? We have been struggling with racism since we were brought to this country. Transgender people have not been struggling with being transgender openly, except for the last 10, 20 years. But yet, they want everybody to drop everything and jump on that bandwagon to forward that movement, while leaving some of us behind because we're what's that word for we're bi-gender. We're black and transgender. You can't leave one of it out of it. Can't leave part of that out of that and expect me to go along with it. Cause I ain't. So I'm gonna end this by saying, you know, I mentioned something, I wrote something down about Independence Day, that, and the fact that Christians see revolutions happening right now, but I see other possibilities other than revelations. Did I say revolution? I meant revelations, the end of the Bible. I see other possibilities besides that, which is why I wrote down Independence Day. If anybody's ever seen that movie, you know, the whole world got distracted by aliens coming down and causing humanity to stop their differences to fight the aliens. You know, and if that actually happened, you know, Will Smith says, yeah, I'm ready to kick E.T.'s ass, you know? If something like that ever happened, it would be a momentary lapse. It will be a momentary period of time where people stop the nonsense long enough to fight some external thing that has nothing to do with this world. And then it would go right back to where it was after we kicked E.T.'s ass. Yeah, it would. You see that in spots in history of people getting together for, well, hell, just even this year, when everybody was up in arms and upset that the stupid administration went after the people on the other side of the border, Mexico. That was short-lived, wasn't it? Hear any more about that? You know, people kind of start waking up, putting down their differences to complain about that, and then when they saw wasn't nothing gonna happen, you know, that asshole didn't pull it off, although he's still trying to. When they realized that, everybody went back to sleep and went on about their business. But guess what? We have borders inside of this country that have been keeping us enslaved since we came here. Ain't none of y'all talking about that. Ain't none of y'all complaining about that. And when we complain, they don't care. This country doesn't care. They've made that also painfully obvious in the past 2 years. So, some aliens did come down here. Okay, well, forget that. But I'm just sitting here in my mind right now, looking at what's going on worldwide and thinking, what side is humanity choosing? For real. You're choosing destruction, sabotage. Your silence either condones that or it doesn't. Either you speak out against it or you don't. There is no in between with this, folks. There is no standing in the middle and somehow that's going to choose a side for you. No, it ain't. It just means that the default will happen. You know what default is in software? It's what's going to happen anyway, regardless of any of your software settings. The default is something that is going to be chosen automatically for you, unless you choose otherwise. Boy, they're pretty noisy up there at 4 in the morning. So yeah, there's a default in this world. And if people don't start making some different choices, making choices, not letting choices be made for you, people better start freaking controlling their lives and their thoughts and their emotions and whatever. Because if you don't, other people will do it for you, and they're not going to do it in your favor if you don't start running your life. God, no matter what religion you are or not, God gave us free will. Whoever put us here gave us the ability to think for ourselves. How many people are taking that seriously and thinking for themselves? How many people are taking full and total responsibility for their lives and changing the outcome of their life? And how many people just sit there saying, I gotta live the cards that were dealt to me. Dealt to you by who? You deal your cards. You play that hand. It's up to you whether you win or not. Even if you think something external picked your life for you and everything's going to happen in your life. No. You have everything to do with which way the wind is going to blow you. Or you are just a piece of grass that's going to blow whichever the way the wind is going to blow and you ain't got no say in the matter. Oh, foul bullshit. You've got every say in the matter. Human beings are far, far, far more powerful than they realize that they are. And whatever you think, you will manifest. Whatever you think negatively, you will manifest. Whatever you think positively, you will manifest. Nothing thinks for you but your brain. Your feelings don't think for you. Your heart doesn't think for you. Those are just pieces of our body. The emotions that we have are in the background of our thoughts. Your thoughts dictate your feelings. Did you know that? If you want to change how you feel, you change how you think first. And then the feelings will change. It's simple, but it's not easy to do. But I've been trained by the best to learn how to do that. And when I'm not in my feelings about something and get back into my head and think, exercise this muscle. This muscle is no different than this muscle. There's more people out there worried about how they look physically than they are how they're thinking mentally. They ain't exercising this muscle. They're just going by default and letting this thing work them. They're not working it. They're not doing exercises and things that can actually provoke more powerful thinking in their lives. They just go along paying attention to the physical. That's why, to me, emotional pain is worse than physical pain. By none, by far, to me. Shit, I'll take a physical whooping any day over emotional abuse or emotional pain. That shit is harder to heal from than a scrape on the arm or leg or wherever. As long as they don't hurt this. As long as they don't hurt my head, you know. I'm being silly. But, you know, the point is, human beings don't even use most of their brain power. But we have power. And black people have been taught that they're stupid, they're shiftless, they're lazy, they're dumb. A lot of things in society is trying to tell us what we are and who we are. No, it's up to us to decide that. If you want to be free, you better free this first. And ain't nobody going to free that for you but you. Can't nobody come along and do that for you. You see what happens when people who attempt to do that for you get killed and assassinated? Everybody went to sleep because they weren't in the same mindset as the leaders. We have the ability to, yes we do. Even that, you know, stupid ass version of Christianity is running around here. Said, you know, Jesus, that word didn't even, the letter J didn't even exist until they created the letter J. So Jesus Christ is not who you think he was. But anyway, point being, he tried to tell his disciples that they had the power to do what he did. The miracles he performed and stuff like that, and they didn't believe him. They didn't try that muscle. They were afraid. We have no reason to fear the goodness and the power and the love and everything else that we as human beings are the only animals on the planet capable of doing. It's just too bad too many people believe more in their fear than they do in their freaking abilities to change, to transform their lives and their thinking and thus their feelings. I didn't plan to go there. I didn't plan to go there at all. This is really, really long video. But I had a lot to say. You know, all I can do is what I do. What, you know, try to touch people here and there with my, I guess, it's not even my point of view, because a lot of the stuff that I think and that I say is coming from another place. It's coming from a hemisphere of spirituality that is God for me. That's what I call our creator is God. Regardless of what you think created us, regardless of what you call whatever created us and put us on this planet, it's very clear we didn't put ourselves here. So, you know, be it the universe for you or God for you, whether it's a man or a woman, who cares about all those details? There is a place within the universe that you can access that will give you boundless information that only your third eye can see. Yes, there is. I don't remember what that's called in the front of our mind, in the front of a human brain, but there is a piece of that brain that if you exercise that, it will become powerful beyond your imagination. And God gave me access to that a long, long, long time ago. And I have been building that muscle for decades and exercising that muscle for decades. I ain't one of these people that believe I am not in control of my destiny and something else out there is. I don't, No, I don't believe that. If I believe that, I might as well be a blade in a piece of grass blowing in the wind. And whichever way somebody or something or whatever circumstances out there decides for me to be, that I'll be. I don't accept that. I accept that God gave me free will to align mine with His or not. And that will dictate which way I go in life, not anything outside of me. So with that, I'm going to tell everybody to have a blessed rest of your weekend. Golly. The other day, I actually jumped over a day. I thought Thursday was Friday. I don't know how come that happened, but anyway. I have all sorts of goofy stuff that's happening the older I get. My brain is just, I just got to keep exercising my brain to try to keep it sharp, to try to keep my memory intact, which is starting to leave. I got the CRS condition sometimes. I can't remember shit. But that's okay. You know what? Because when I leave this earth, I want to be all used up. Not by people, not by human beings, but by God. I want Him to use me. I give Him full permission to use me. And He will never hurt me, even if human beings do. So everybody out there, have a great weekend. And for those that celebrate holidays, happy holidays to you. And Happy New Year if I don't hear from you before the end of the year. And the pollinator is out.